Alrighty, hello, welcome back to the channel. I decided I wanted to do just a little video here, sort of comparing how my art style has, not really changed, I wouldn't really call it much of a style, but in the last 2 months, just sort of how I've been doing things differently. I think that might be interesting for me to keep track of for myself. So I drew two different things. I drew the same scene twice, once in April, the other in June. This is the most recent one up on the screen now. I'm going to go through. I have the recordings, the stroke recordings from Procreate, and I'm going to talk through those a little bit. So for the first one here, I did it as a drawing challenge. So I had one brush, the hard air brush, no reference, no effects, but I was allowed to use the selection tool as much as I wanted. So you can see I start here. I'm doing a little scene here between a Mr. Techno Blade and also Philza Minecraft, perhaps their first meetings. I imagine they'd be quite threatening in the nether. I don't know. I've discovered recently that I actually quite like drawing backgrounds and stuff, particularly things in Minecraft, because, like, I don't know, it's interesting to interpret those things. I'd done a little bit of a drawing for school that, like, I had to do a landscape painting. I ended up painting a lighthouse that I had built in a Minecraft world of mine. But yeah, no. So I'm really enjoying doing environments and stuff recently. But I went up, I started here. You can see I'm doing the line art like directly over top of the sketch. I'm erasing some things, adjusting. I actually kind of like just the very simple like traveler's clothes I have for Philza in this one. It's interesting comparing these afterwards. I'm actually a much bigger fan of the techno that I drew in this drawing challenge than I am in the one that I drew later, even though, as you'll see, it's a lot more dynamic, the one that I drew more recently. I really like, I like the anatomy, like the weird anatomy better and stuff, and just like the general, like, kind of young, hair all over the place look I did for techno in this one, which is like the single gold, I think they're called pauldrons on your shoulder, but yeah. So I did a thing here where basically, to get around trying to paint around them for this background, I did an outline and then I used the fill tool and then I selected everything there, and I went ahead and I just did my background all in one go to avoid any sort of confusion. That's why it might look like I was drawing on two different layers there. I was not. It was one layer. One layer, one brush, no reference. Let me see here. Yep. Oh, I realized I forgot to draw the hat, so we went ahead. We threw that in there. It's no problem. I'm going ahead. I'm laying in some colors now. Going through here. I might actually go back and then draw this a third time, maybe in a few more months, and then compare it once again. I think it's interesting to go back. I very rarely actually draw the same thing multiple times like this, particularly like interpreting the same scene over. But I don't know. It's an interesting challenge. I like it. I'll probably do more of this. Draw some more of my cowboys as well. So I think we are starting to reach the end here. I'm about to put in some shading. There it is. I just went through with the airbrush tool again and sort of throwing some shading down to make it look a little bit more dynamic. I didn't go particularly dark with anything. I started to add a vignette and then realized how terrible it looked and got rid of it. And then I did allow myself to use some overlays here. So I went ahead, I threw an overlay in, and there's the final product there. I actually don't think it looks too bad. Okay, for the second one here, the challenge was that I wanted to draw some wings finally for Philza, but I was allowed to use as many effects as I wanted and could basically just do whatever. Selection tool, of course, still a thing. You can watch me here struggle with drawing the same pair of legs like 8 times. In this one, I feel like I stopped a lot more to go back and redraw things. You'll see later with Techno, I end up, like, I completely scrap everything I've done with him, think maybe, to hell with it, I'll draw a hoglin instead, and then quickly decide, no, I have to stick to the challenge and actually draw Techno. So yeah, I'll go back in a minute and do all that. Yeah, so for this one, I wanted to make sure I actually drew some wings, so I struggled with this for a little bit. I've never really done wings before, but it's something I'd like to get better at. I want to start learning how to do more non-human anatomy. So I think I did all right. And then, of course, I got frustrated, so I went ahead and I wanted to add some background here. This is just sort of a sketch for the background. I threw a little stick figure in to sort of plan out where I wanted some things to be. And here we are to the infamous, I'm about to draw techno about 4 or 5 times because I can't decide what I wanted here. You know, all in all, I have to say I'm actually a much bigger fan of the Techno I drew in the first one. I did a little bit of a role reversal here. In the first one I had Philza kind of getting his ass kicked, but in this one I gave Philza a nice old bow and arrow, which was fun to draw. I didn't mind that at all. I got frustrated again with Techno, so I went ahead and I started doing some stuff with backgrounds. I recently discovered that you can do what's the word for it again? Color mapping, like gradient mapping in Procreate, which I did not realize was a feature, so pardon the flashing there. But I did some of that until I found something I really, really liked. I really like the lava being just like basically glowing so much it's just white. I thought that looked like really dynamic and cool. And here we go. We're moving on to something that's a little closer to the final iteration of what Techno ended up being. I gave him a fairly human anatomy, particularly for the legs. They're not as inhuman as they were the first time. I think I liked the last ones I did better. If I draw more Techno in the future, I'm going to try and do that. I have this tendency where whenever I draw Techno, I go, I'm going to draw the pig man, and then I get like halfway through it and I realize that actually the anatomy for this is terrible, and then I stop and I just draw an anime man, but I refuse. I refuse to fall back on that. I'm going to try and draw pig Techno more because pig Techno is cool. We stand piglin Techno. But yeah. So the legs that I did for Techno in this one, basically I just sort of worked it out where he's like, I started thinking of it more as a human foot, where basically he's just on his toes all the time, and then the heel is like fairly low, I guess that joint. I'll probably move that higher up, maybe like halfway through where the calf would be next time. We'll see. I also started doing something different this time where I'm doing all of my shading first, and then I'm going to turn it into an effect afterwards, like over top of the color, the local color. So we'll see. You'll also notice that down in the bottom left here, we also have a grave to Cinnamon Shakes, a good internet friend of mine. I actually streamed a lot of drawing this on Twitch, so if you're interested in that, you can go check out my Twitch. But Cinnamon was in chat, and I don't remember exactly what the joke was, but rest in peace, Cinnamon Shakes. she is our beloved. But yes, you can see I'm just messing some more with doing some more dynamic lighting. I really want to push to do just, I don't know. I want stronger darks and lights in my work. So you can see I'm kind of turning layers on and off, messing with it, trying to make everything look a little bit more natural. I'm working on some shadows, trying to figure out how everything is split up here and make it look like there are actual like different levels with this these dynamic shadows. I decided I needed something in the foreground. I thought I was going to do something before I was thinking about doing a foreground thing, but I'm really, really glad I decided to. And then, oh, a little bit of glitch there, but some blurred sort of particles maybe going in front. And you can see I go through it, and the very last thing that I did on this one was I went ahead and I made the shading also a color map. So you see those two kind of side by side here. I think we're going to wrap up there. If you're interested in my Twitch, you can go check me out there or on Instagram. And thank you so much for watching and listening to me ramble about my art. Alrighty, I will catch you guys on the flip side. Bye!